They say aging is natural, that after 65, forgetting things here and there is just part of life. But let me ask you something. What if those small slips, the ones you brush off with a chuckle and a senior moment, are really your brain whispering for help? What if they're not just aging but signs that your mind is slowing down faster than it should? Let me tell you a story. Peter is 73. He was once the sharpest man I knew, a retired aerospace engineer, always solving puzzles, doing crosswords in pen, quoting history dates without missing a beat. But 2 years ago, something shifted. He started stumbling mid-sentence, forgetting simple words and even pausing while talking, searching for a thought he couldn't seem to grab. At first, he joked about it, said he was getting old, but when he began avoiding conversations altogether, we knew it was more than that. And that's where this story begins, not with panic but with awareness. Because the truth is, there are signs. Subtle ones, quiet ones, but they're there, and the earlier we notice them, the better chance we have at protecting what makes us us. This isn't about scaring you. It's about elderly wisdom, about listening to what our body is trying to tell us before it starts speaking in ways we can't ignore. So today, let's talk about 2 of the first silent signs your brain may be aging faster than expected. The first is something you might have already experienced, struggling to find the right word in everyday conversation. It's not just forgetting names of distant cousins or old classmates, going blank in the middle of a sentence. You're describing a spoon, and suddenly you can't remember the word. You see it in your mind, but it just won't come. Peter used to say, "It's like my brain's on dial-up, trying to connect in a world that's moved on to fiber optic." Science backs this up. A study from the University of Michigan found that seniors who frequently experience tip-of-the-tongue episodes are showing early signs of cognitive slowdown, particularly in language areas of the brain like the temporal lobe. And while occasional forgetfulness is normal, when it becomes a pattern, that's when we need to pay attention. What's heartbreaking is that many seniors begin to withdraw when this happens. They avoid conversation out of embarrassment. They stop telling stories, they smile and nod instead of speaking up, and slowly, quietly, they disappear. Not physically, but socially. That's not what aging with dignity looks like. But the good news? The brain can still learn. Reading aloud, singing familiar songs, even learning a new language or a poem can help strengthen these pathways. Elderly reflections remind us, you're never too old to grow. You just need to believe that your mind still matters. The second sign is one that often gets dismissed as distraction or tiredness. Getting lost in familiar places. Eleanor, a 76-year-old woman from Portland, had walked the same 3 blocks to her local market for years. But one morning she took a wrong turn and couldn't figure out how to get back. She stood there, in a neighborhood she'd known since her 30s, and it all looked foreign. "It was like I was dreaming," she told me. "I knew I should recognize the buildings, but they didn't feel real." According to researchers at Washington University, difficulty with spatial navigation is one of the earliest cognitive changes in people developing Alzheimer's. It's not about having a bad sense of direction. It's about the hippocampus, the brain's internal GPS, starting to shrink. Seniors experiencing this may hesitate to drive, avoid errands, or feel anxious about going places they used to enjoy. That anxiety often leads to isolation, which can make decline happen even faster. But Eleanor's daughter acted quickly. They created visual cues in her home, used technology to support her independence, and she began simple memory exercises daily. Within weeks, her confidence improved. She was still herself, just more supported. That's the point. This isn't about fixing everything. It's about giving the brain the tools it needs to slow down the damage and hold on to what matters. Because senior health isn't just about medication and doctor visits. It's about maintaining connection, purpose, and routine. And it starts with recognizing when something has changed. So let me ask you, have you noticed those signs in yourself or someone you love? Are you finding words harder to catch, directions harder to follow? If yes, don't ignore it. Don't wave it away with a joke. These signs are not the end. They're an invitation, a call to care deeper, to act sooner, to give your brain the respect it deserves. These are the moments where life lessons from the elderly become lifelines for the rest of us. And you don't have to face them alone. That's why we created this channel, to bring together stories, science, and strength, to remind each other that aging isn't about fading away. It's about rising wiser. Before we close, I want to know something personal. Where are you watching from today? The US? Canada? The UK? Maybe Germany or the Netherlands? Wherever you are, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment and share your location. And if this message spoke to you even a little, do me one favor. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the bell so you never miss another moment of elderly motivation, inspiration, and the kind of quiet truth that makes us all feel a little more alive. Because here at Elderly Reflections, we believe that getting older isn't about what's lost. It's about discovering the parts of you that were always there, just waiting to be noticed. We often talk about memory when we talk about aging. But what if I told you that some of the most dangerous signs your brain is slowing down aren't about forgetting names or where you left your keys? What if the clues are emotional? What if it's how you feel, not what you forget, that's revealing your brain's deeper struggle? You see, senior health isn't just about physical checkups or brain scans. It's also about noticing the quiet shifts in mood, in motivation, in energy. And after 65, those small changes in how you feel may not be just aging. They might be your brain asking for help. Let's talk about Robert. He's 79, a retired train conductor from Boston. A quiet, gentle soul who used to play dominoes every Tuesday with his neighbors and always had a quote from Abraham Lincoln or Shakespeare ready at the dinner table. But lately something was different. He stopped showing up. He'd sit by the window for hours. Not sad exactly, just blank. His wife said he wasn't himself. And the truth is, she was right. This brings us to the third silent sign your brain may be aging faster than it should. A slow loss of motivation or interest in things you used to enjoy. This one hides well. It's easy to chalk it up to getting tired with age or just feeling bored. But researchers at the Mayo Clinic have linked apathy, a deep, persistent loss of drive or pleasure, with early cognitive decline. This isn't just being lazy, it's the brain struggling to process rewards, connect goals to actions, and spark enthusiasm. When the dopamine system, the brain's fuel for motivation, starts slowing down, everything feels heavier. That crossword puzzle feels pointless. That Sunday walk feels like a chore. Even getting dressed can feel like too much effort. Robert wasn't depressed. He wasn't grieving. He was simply disengaging. And when his doctor looked deeper, cognitive screening showed early signs of decline in his frontal lobe, the part responsible for planning, joy, and social behavior. The good news? Once they knew what was happening, they acted. His family built small routines, gardening in the morning, music in the afternoon, simple goal setting like writing one memory a day in a notebook. Slowly, Robert came back. Not all the way, but enough to smile again, enough to remember what it meant to feel alive. That's elderly wisdom in action, knowing when to rest and when to reach back toward the light. Now, the fourth sign is one we almost never associate with the brain: poor sleep quality without a clear reason. You might say, I've always been a light sleeper, or that's just what happens when you're older, but not always. Because when the brain starts aging too fast, one of the first things to suffer is the quality of your deep sleep. The kind your brain needs to clean itself, to file memories, to reset emotional balance. Let me explain. During deep sleep, the brain's glymphatic system, think of it as your mental janitor, clears out toxins and waste, including beta amyloid, a protein associated with Alzheimer's. But when deep sleep is disrupted or cut short, these toxins linger. Over time, they build up, and the damage quietly worsens. This isn't about how long you sleep. It's about how well you sleep. Do you wake up groggy, even after 8 hours? Do you toss and turn, feel anxious at night, or wake up often without knowing why? A study from the University of California, Berkeley, found that seniors with irregular or shallow sleep patterns had more rapid cognitive decline than their peers, even when everything else in their health looked normal. The lead researcher called it a silent brain drain happening in the dark. Let me tell you about Hilda, 81 years old, from Edinburgh. She lived alone and had always been independent, but over the course of a year, she began feeling confused in the mornings. Simple decisions like what to eat for breakfast felt overwhelming. She wasn't sleeping well, but she didn't think it mattered. When her family took her to a neurologist, the doctor said something they never expected. Fix the sleep and the brain may catch its breath. Less screen time, a warm bath, magnesium-rich foods, and the result? In 3 months, her clarity returned. Not perfectly, but enough to live on her own again. That's the kind of motivation we want to pass on in this space. Not false hope, but real stories of change. Because here's the truth. Mood swings, apathy, disrupted sleep, these are not just side effects of getting older. They can be early markers of deeper brain decline. But they're also opportunities, invitations to care more intentionally, to give the brain what it's silently asking for. rest, rhythm, nourishment, connection. That's what senior health is really about. Not chasing perfection, but protecting function. So now you know 4 signs. 2 we uncovered at the beginning, and 2 more we've just explored together. Word finding problems, spatial confusion, loss of drive, and poor sleep. If you or someone you love is going through any of these, don't wait. Don't dismiss it as just old age. Listen, reflect, take a step, because the longer we ignore these signs, the harder they become to reverse. But the sooner we respond, the more powerful the brain's healing can be. Elderly reflections teach us that awareness is the first act of love. And love, especially in our later years, might just be the most important medicine we have. Before we wrap this up, tell me something. Where are you watching from today? Are you in the US, somewhere in Europe? Maybe South Africa or Australia? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to know. Your story matters here. And if this part touched you, even quietly, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell so you never miss another moment of elderly inspiration, motivation, and life lessons from the elderly that just might change the way you see your days. Stick around. Next, we'll dive into what you can actually do. Simple, practical steps to protect your brain and sharpen your mind, even after 70, because the most powerful chapters of your life may still be waiting to be written. There's something sacred about the quiet moments in life. Those late evening hours when the phone stops ringing, when the house finally falls silent and you can hear your own thoughts again. For many seniors, this is when the questions come. Am I still sharp? Why am I forgetting things I never used to? Is this just aging, or is something deeper going on? If you've asked yourself those questions, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not powerless. Because the signs we talked about, memory slips, confusion, apathy, poor sleep, they don't have to be accepted as your new normal. Not if you're willing to meet them with care, intention, and a bit of courage. Let me tell you about George, 82 years old, a retired school principal from Alberta, Canada. His wife had passed 5 years earlier, and since then he'd live alone in the same quiet house they once shared. For the first few years, George was fine. Still read the paper front to back. Still fixed his own leaky faucets. Still showed up for Sunday service. But around his 80th birthday, things shifted. He stopped answering calls. He missed church 2 Sundays in a row. When his son visited, he noticed the stove left on, unpaid bills stacked in a drawer, and George struggling to find words for simple things. A few months later, George admitted he didn't feel present. He was tired, confused, and ashamed. His doctor diagnosed early cognitive decline. In that moment could have been the end of the story, but it wasn't. That's because George's son didn't just accept the diagnosis. He asked, "What can we still do?" And the answer changed everything. The first thing they did was build a rhythm, something the brain desperately needs. Each morning started with the same 3 things: a short walk, a small breakfast rich in brain foods like eggs, berries, or oats, and a memory game. Not fancy, just 5 new words to memorize and repeat. By evening, George had a short ritual: a warm cup of turmeric milk, a few minutes of journaling, and sleep by 9:30. Within weeks, his sleep deepened. Within months, his clarity returned. He wasn't who he used to be, but he was someone new. Someone still present, still living. That's what elderly motivation is really about. Not chasing youth, but choosing strength, even now. So what can you do? Start by choosing 3 small things you'll change. Tonight, tomorrow, this week. Here are the ones we see work best. First, respect your sleep. Get to bed before midnight, dim the lights early, avoid news and screens before bed. They confuse the brain's natural melatonin rhythm. Instead, listen to music, take a warm bath, or read something light. Let your body know it's safe to rest. Because deep sleep isn't just rest, it's brain repair. Second, eat for your brain. Every day include at least 1 food that supports memory, like blueberries, walnuts, leafy greens, or olive oil. These aren't just good habits, they're medicine hidden in your fridge. Multiple studies from Harvard and UCLA show that seniors who eat a Mediterranean-style diet, rich in healthy fats, vegetables, and fruits, have slower cognitive decline than those who don't. It's not about going vegan or cutting out joy. It's about feeding your brain the fuel it actually needs after 65. Third, use your mind. Don't just protect it. The brain is like a muscle. If you don't challenge it, it shrinks. But when you use it with intention, even late in life, it grows. So start small. Memorize a phone number. Do a puzzle. Tell your story to someone younger. Learn something new, even if it's just a word in another language each week. That's not being busy. That's being alive. And don't forget connection. Loneliness may feel like a quiet ache, but research shows it physically shrinks the brain. That's why simple social habits, a weekly phone call, a church gathering, a walk with a neighbor, can help keep your mind sharp. You don't need dozens of friends. Just a few moments of honest conversation each week can act like medicine for the spirit. Now, I'm not saying this will reverse everything. I'm not offering magic pills or miracle cures. But I am saying that how you live now still matters. Every small change sends a message to your brain. I still care, I'm still here. And that message, it changes things because elderly reflections tell us that it's never too late to take back the reins. Not of time, but of meaning. Before we end, I want to share one more story. A woman named Martha, 84, from Manchester, wrote me last year. She said, after watching your video, I started eating walnuts and walking 10 minutes a day. Nothing big, but my memory feels steadier. I laugh more. I even started learning to use my phone better. My granddaughter taught me how to send emojis. She ended the message with 3 hearts and a little owl. That's what this is all about. Not perfection, but presence. Still growing, still laughing, still learning. So if you've stayed with me this far, I want to ask you 2 things. First, where are you watching from? I love seeing where our community comes from, whether it's Brooklyn, Birmingham, Berlin, or Buenos Aires. Tell me in the comments. And second, if this message helped you reflect, even in a small way, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the bell so you never miss a new story. A new lesson or a new spark of senior health, elderly wisdom, or the kind of motivation that reminds us life after 65 still has meaning, still has joy, and still has so much to offer. This is Elderly Reflections. And here, we believe aging isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of your most honest, most powerful chapter yet.